this actually surprised me a little bit. So Mediaite clipped this out. Tucker Carlson breaks it to his MAGA audience that Trump will obviously, quote, obviously be indicted after the FBI raid. So let's see what he says.
Oh, the FBI is just simply carrying out their responsibilities. Of course they are. Come on, will you support law enforcement? There's nothing to see here.
I unironically think that the FBI is just carrying out their responsibilities. And the reason I say that is because they went and asked Trump politely, please turn over these classified and top secret and super top secret documents. And Trump said, oh, sure, no problem. Go ahead and turn them all over. And then what happened? He only turned over some of them. They knew he was lying and he still had some. And that's when they did the raid. How can that be viewed in any other way except they're just doing their job?
That's the line. And no doubt Asa Hutchinson and Mitch McConnell and Dan Crenshaw and the rest of them will be telling you the very same thing when the Biden Justice Department or some other state law enforcement agency under their influence finally does what you know they're going to do, which is indict Donald Trump. Obviously, they're going to do that.
I didn't think that was obvious. I mean, it's likely is a word I would use, but you got to understand Hillary Clinton was under investigation, and they basically did a press conference where Comey announced, here's all of the crimes she committed, and by the way, we're not going to charge her with any crimes. So for him to say that is a little surprising to me. Oh, he's obviously going to be indicted. Like, really? I mean, shit, I'll take it, right? But he seems more sure of it than I am. And by the way, I love the fact that he's going after all of the establishment Republicans, because it's like that meme that you see on Twitter, the let them fight meme. I guess not. Is it a GIF or a meme? Whatever. It's let them fight. Yeah, let them fight, man. Let them fight. Now, the Republican politicians, they have a public position and a private position on this. The public position is, oh, this is so unfair to Donald Trump. Please stop it. The private position is, for the love of God, take this fucker down because we don't think we could win a general election in the presidential race with him. We don't think that's possible. He's too extreme. It's not going to work. So the Republican Civil War, as time goes by, gets more and more apparent, more and more clear. You know, the Mitch McConnell types, the, I guess you could say Adam Kinzinger is sort of thrown in there, but really he's more in the Liz Cheney camp of like, all he talks about is how bad Trump is and January 6th and the rigged election. But, you know, a guy like Eye Patch McGee over here, he, sorry, I'm wildly inappropriate, but we're going to go with it. Eye Patch McGee is still solidly on the right, even with most of his rhetoric, but, you know, he's probably more in that Mitch McConnell camp, and he's vehemently anti, like, Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert. So, I mean, one side in this Civil War has a lot more power and has many more in terms of their numbers, but just the fact that Tucker, who's the number one host, is openly going after somebody like Mitch McConnell shows quite a bit of disunity.
Who knows how? Maybe they'll produce surveillance video from Mar-a-Lago. Apparently, they've already subpoenaed that. We'll spend the next year talking about how it shows Trump mishandling classified information. Really? On the server. Remember the endless Russia collusion hoax? We're in for a lot more of that.
Okay, see, that pisses me off. Because you guys all know I was a massive critic of Russiagate. Why? Because the policy stance with Russia did not match up with the notion that Trump was a Putin puppet. So I was very skeptical of that. This is not that. It's almost like there are different things in the world that you need to analyze each one objectively. And in this instance, he appears to have done the shit that they're saying he did. Now, why he did that is an open question, right? And you could be of the mindset, this is because of incompetence, this is because of laziness, this is because he thought he was going to remain in office because he was convinced of the conspiracy theories, so with 1 week left, he threw everything in boxes and went to Mar-a-Lago, and so that's all this is. So he didn't have any nefarious intent, so sort of let him slide for taking the classified information. You can have that position, right? But I don't think you can object to this on the actual facts. So either your position is it's incompetence and he's just an idiot and he didn't follow the law when he should have because he's reckless, or the other potential theory, as we've talked about, is, hey, maybe he took some stuff so that he can sell it. And there is evidence for that. You know, the evidence is when he was supposed to turn it over, he didn't turn all of it over. Why? Why are you holding some back? What are you holding it back for? And then you look at, you follow the money, trace the financial situation, and you find out Jared Kushner just got $2 billion from Saudi Arabia. Donald Trump, it's rumored, got $100 million to host a Saudi golf tour event at his course in New Jersey. Well, I don't know about you guys, but if somebody gives me $2 billion or $100 million, or even the hundreds of thousands that he took when he was in office from Saudi Arabia through his DC hotel, usually they're looking for something in return. Now, what are those things? I don't know. Could it be the names and salaries of spies? Could be. Could it be nuclear information? Well, we know Saudi's been lobbying for more nuclear information. So for him to just swat it aside, oh, it was just like the Russiagate thing. No. And you'll notice they never give specifics on this. They have to go, well, what about that other thing? No. Let's talk about the specifics in this case. Which, by the way, we can talk about because I have the exact things that Trump is charged with in the warrant. Gathering, transmitting, or losing defense information, which carries a penalty of up to 10 years in prison. Concealment, removal, or mutilation generally, which carries a penalty of up to 3 years in prison and disqualification from holding office. Destruction, alteration, or falsification of records in federal investigations and bankruptcy, which carries a penalty of up to 20 years. So, this is serious stuff, man.
How Trump is a criminal. And if you express any support for him or any interest in retaining, I don't know, the rights of free speech and due process, you're a criminal too. In fact, you are.
What the fuck are you talking about free speech for? This has absolutely nothing to do with free speech in any way, shape, or form. And no, the FBI is not targeting the audience. The FBI is targeting Donald Trump. I mean, it's just, this is so ginned up. It's phony. He doesn't mean and believe the things he's saying.
The threat. You're the threat. And just mentioning that you disagree with what is happening is an attack on our government. That's their style.
No, you're allowed to disagree, but if you disagree, you're wrong and you're silly. Again, you could disagree on why he took the documents. There's reasonable people on both sides of that specific disagreement. But I don't find it reasonable to shriek and yelp and moan that this whole thing is a massive witch hunt when it clearly is not. They gave him every out in the world and he didn't take it. He could have turned over all the documents. He didn't.
The other day, after signing off for the Mar-a-Lago raid, your Attorney General, Merrick Garland, came on stage to whine about how actually he was the victim here.
Oh my God.
Victim. Apparently some people disagreed with the raid, so the FBI, the most heavily armed domestic law enforcement agency in the world, is now under threat from you. Right.
Merrick Garland gave this speech immediately after an Ohio far-right terrorist tried to shoot up an FBI building. The FBI building in Ohio. That's when he gave the speech. Hey, we're not going to stand for the threats. Why? Because it turns out there was just an attempted mass shooting at an FBI building. Now, it didn't work out because there's more security at an FBI building than most buildings, right? But they ended up getting in a shootout. The guy ended up dying. There's been a massive influx of direct threats of violence. So why is he bringing up that, hey, be easy? He's bringing that up because they are being victimized right now. They are. It's a fact. And by the way, notice, okay, this point is driving me crazy. People are not digesting this very basic point. Why is it that the left, when Hillary Clinton was investigated by the FBI, what did the left say? The actual left, not the Democratic Party hacks. The actual left was like, good. Like, I hope she goes down. What was the reaction from leftists, like myself, when James Comey came out and announced, here are all the crimes that Hillary committed, here's all the classified documents and top secret documents, and by the way, some of them were breached because she was using an unsecure email. I said, they're announcing her crimes. Charge her. And they didn't charge her. And I was against them not charging her. I wanted them to charge her because she committed crimes. And I feel the same way about Trump. All this talk of like, well, the FBI is really bad. Well, you know, there are plenty of people who don't like the cops, but when the cops arrested fucking Harvey Weinstein, people went, based. This isn't that hard to wrap your mind around, man. It's really not, and everybody's being so disingenuous.
You're the criminal. Our critics are in jail, but I got anonymous threats on Twitter. Poor me! Passive aggression is the defining characteristic of the left.
He's just going to ignore the increase in direct threats of violence and ignore the attempted mass shooting at an FBI building. And he's going to ignore the person who stormed into the barricade in front of the Capitol and then killed himself. Now, we don't know the specifics of that one yet, but I would not be surprised at all if it was another one tied to the MAGA situation.
They started putting people in camps, NBC News would cheer them on and then attack you for complaining about it. How dare you? Violating our norms. We've always had camps.
When you have these woke revolutions.
Shut the fuck up with this ad. He brought up camps at the end of it, man. This is unhinged. This is unhinged. But anyway, look, the main point of this segment is just to show you how Tucker himself is like, Trump, he's going to get indicted. And he seems more sure than anybody that I've seen. Because, look, the general rule in the U.S. is what? The elite get away with their crimes. It's almost an axiom at this point. So that's why, even given all the moving pieces, I think I just have to state agnosticism overall. In certain moments, I lean towards, he's going to go down. He might go down. But in other moments, that very famous tweet pops up in my mind. Let's see old Donnie wriggle his way out of this jam. And then he wriggles his way out easily. Well, nevertheless. Like, anything's possible. And I'm not even convinced that that's necessarily going to happen. But Tucker appears very convinced of it. I just hope that he's right. If you want to see me and Crystal Ball interview legends like Noam Chomsky, Cornel West, and more, subscribe to Crystal, Kyle, and Friends on Substack. $5 a month gets you the video version a day early. Remember, we take 0 ad dollars for this podcast. Or you can sign up on Substack for free and get the audio version a day later. Link in the video description box below.